In my mind, I was like,
Good. I'm glad.
We can't get people for trespass. Not allowed.
What's that?
All right,
Trespass. We gotta enforce it.
Okay.
we are back to
I guess you could do the
I'm joking.
section.
Okay.
I thought you read the McGivern thing.
Oh. I read a lot.
I You read more than the rest of
That was a
us.
lot to,
I guarantee
Okay, we're
you
ready
that.
to move on.
Okay,
Let's move on.
regarding the Icebridge City Public Officer, I move to offer Becky $15 an hour for the position. Or have Terry offer her $15 an hour, is that right? Okay. I'm gonna do it two motions, not.
Then I second the first motion.
And that's up to 10 hours a week, right?
I believe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to offer Becky Frank the position of city compliance officer at the rate of $15 an hour, up to 10 hours per week. And we have a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Okay, and then I so move to offer Robin $13 an hour, bump her pay from $10 to $13 an hour for the Lake Public Officer position, up to 15 hours a week.
Second.
And we have on the floor a motion to increase Robin's pay from $10 to $13 an hour, up to 15 hours a week at the lake,
As public office.
as public officer at the lake. Yes, okay.
And it was less.
I don't know. Baker, Robin Baker.
Okay, and we had the motion and we had a second. Any further discussion on that one? Those in favor? Those opposed? It's 5-0. Okay. 16 East Second Street, city structure
Excuse me,
permit.
Mayor.
Pardon me?
May I mention about the public safety officer, please?
Sure.
When they're making their recommendations to notify people, cite people, whatever, do they present that to the council ordinance and what the letter says, things like that?
The procedures in the city code.
What's the procedure?
The procedure is usually, it starts with informal contact by the city officer, depending upon what kind of nuisance it is. And that was usually followed by official notice of a letter or a request to abate the nuisance. And then once that's not complied with, then they would generally produce an order to the city council or similar to the city council to take action to finally force an abatement resolution or remove resolution. So,
Do we have the same kind of language like that for the lake also? If somebody has a dock or something going on in the easement, that they're first notified by the public safety officer and then a letter?
I don't know, it'd be in the code though. I mean, that was modeled after nuisance ordinances, so.
The only reason I ask is because I had a resident out there at the lake that showed me a letter, and it was the first thing he'd ever received as far as a complaint. And it was harsh. It gave him 10 days to get it taken care of, or he would be filed against. I didn't think that that was what we did. I thought that we first did a approach, then a letter, then a filing, or a plan of action. So that's why I was asking about the lake.
You said this person received a letter from who?
From the city. It was signed by Robin and Stephanie,
Okay.
It wasn't signed by me.
or it was signed by somebody.
The
He
compliance
said it was
officer.
from the lake,
Okay.
right from the city.
Not less than, yes.
And I assured him
12,208 is the code.
Said he would have time to do it. It's just, it was 101 degrees and he said he didn't know if he'd be able to get to it right away. It was a word for word
You
replacement.
know,
looked like.
we're not so strict that we wouldn't entertain somebody's idea if they come in here.
There you
said,
go. I
"I've got
asked
this
him to
letter."
come and talk to you guys and he said he didn't want to go.
Well, he talked to me and then I
Okay.
let her know, so.
Yeah.
That he was
Well,
gonna work on it.
The notice is, the first complaint is a hearing before the public officer. And so, I mean, it's all in 12,208.
Oh, that's fine. She's just learning. So.
Well, she did right, apparently.
Huh?
She did right by sending that letter. She did the right thing.
The 10-day notice though,
Yes.
you get it done in 10 days or else.
Well,
Well, I mean,
that's
you
what I
got
said.
this-
All they have to do is come in and let us know what's going on.
And that's
And-
what
and-
But that is it is 10 days. I think we all just learned that.
Well, that's not, no, I think that's supposed to be,
well, 10 days is kind of,
They have to request a hearing first.
well,
or maybe just to show a plan to have.
I will defer completely to the actual written language of 12,208. So we can all take a look at that. If Robin's following that, we have no issues.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, he came in and did the right thing. Talked to Stephanie. He was just worried it was 101 at that particular day.
Sure.
Didn't know if he could get right to it.
I understand.
But he did, he said he was gonna contact somebody right away and get it taken care of. So.
All's good.
Yeah, I wish he would have came in
All right.
though.
610 East Second Street, city structure permit. Graham.
They are not here and they are wanting to do an outdoor kitchen area.
I think this looks fine. to me.
None of it's like permanent, it's,
Should we have Becky look at it though? I mean, I don't have a problem approving it. As long as she,
Well, that's not
she's
the
not-
she's not even
building.
hired yet. We don't have
She's
the
not,
person yet.
she's not a building inspector.
Isn't she the one that would do these?
Probably not. No, a building inspector would have to be somebody who's a professional in construction. That doesn't mean that this doesn't comply with what you guys are doing here, but that's what normally a building inspector would be determining if the plans are sound structurally according to basically the building codes that exist outside of the city, meaning the plumbing codes, the structural codes, electrical
I
codes.
don't know if this is gonna have any of that. I think it's just gonna have a grill.
Well,
It says
then-
outdoor
Like a
kitchen,
patio
but
with a grill and walls.
yeah, it's basically just like, he's gonna have
Like a pergola?
yeah,
So he's
Like-
making a building.
So there's some.
So an outdoor kitchen is gonna be kind of indoors.
didn't know
just no
if
doors.
he needed to have a permit and he asked me, is my father-in-law? And I said, you should put one in just in case. It's not a permanent structure. It's all just landscape rocks.
I wonder if it needed one too. That's.
And I said, I
I
didn't know,
probably-
so I said, just
Yeah, I
put
mean,
one in.
that's on the edge because it actually isn't a structure in some respects.
Speaking of on the edge, he's far enough from this property line, right?
Oh, yeah.
Then I move to approve.
That's nothing.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the application by Graham and a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor?
I know.
You saying your in-laws are a pain?
I mean, I encompass myself in that as well.
Okay, moving on, Six Barracks.
And I didn't include what we
Anybody
had
from,
last.
anybody out there from,
Yeah. I wasn't down at the last meeting, but Joe brought in the request to add some docks to the existing area out there at the lake. We'll be adding on to the floating docks that are there. And the reason it's been brought up is because the various owners have changed hands several times throughout the last, well, since those docks have been built. And some of the new barracks owners are would like to have a dock and a place to park the boat and enjoy it like everybody else is. So that's what Joe brought last time. And there also is another piece that we want to discuss after that. It has to do with the ramp, but as of right now, that's where we're at. Do you guys have any questions about them?
How many boat slips are you asking for?
4,
Four.
and they're double slips, meaning it's a big slip that 2 boats fit in. So it'd be 2 of those. Slips enough for 4 boats.
Okay,
My
The plan
concern
is
I see.
Go ahead.
the plan is to, the angle that it's at, on the north end, the water's so shallow that boats get stuck. If you go further to the north, it gets into that little bend right there he's snagging branches every time he's out there fishing. So the plan was to take it to the south, but to do that, we're gonna have to put in an angle piece because we want it to hug the shoreline and not get into the water. That was the plan.
Now, this is your son, I take it?
Yeah, this is Scout.
Scout? His name's Scout?
Scout.
Scout, you know you have to learn how to catch limb brims so you can catch other fish in the lake, don't you?
Fish sticks.
There you go.
Same.
I like that.
All right, well, I've been out there and took a look at that area. And the north side does look pretty rough out there to me. I don't know if anybody else has been up there and looked at it. I understand we have 16 barracks out there altogether, is that right?
Yeah.
What's gonna happen to the lake shore if we approve this and then the other 8 out there want a boat slip as well?
That would be, a future, somebody brings up in the future.
Yeah.
Right? We've asked other people, and really we've only got the 4 that, actually 3, but you can't do just 3 the way they are. So
I'm totally for you guys adding the slips. I wish that we could think of some way to where you south. I don't like how that aesthetically looks, and it's odd and kind of obstructs the view. I don't know.
Barracks to the out or where?
From where it is south down along that shoreline, you're just kind of, I don't like the developing of that south. I don't know. It's all natural right now, and 4 more docks there to me would be. I went out there today and looked at it. I don't know if anybody else has gone out and looked, but I totally see what they're saying about the shallow problem on the north side.
Yeah. My biggest complaint with that south of that area is all the concrete and old rusted water line pipes that are out there in the water.
Yeah.
That's more of a distraction to me than the docks would be. Now, are they going to be basically the same length as the other docks that are out there?
Same, the plan is to use the same company, same manufacturer, and so it matches up.
Now, this
I think they
drawing,
link in a certain way.
this drawing here that has a bathhouse out there. I never knew that was out there. Am I looking at this the boat
There was a
slip you're talking about?
bathhouse and
It's
they
a
made
well
it
house, isn't
into
it?
is it a well house or a
Yeah,
bathhouse?
It's a well house.
It's an old well house sitting right in where they mow.
Mm-mm.
There was a bathhouse years and years ago that they turned into a barrack.
And that's the one that's on the very far
Yeah.
north.
Okay.
end.
I'm confusing myself. I apologize. I'm looking at this thinking these are the boat slips out there. They're not the boat slips. These are where the barracks are located.
No, those are
These are the boat
Yeah.
slips.
They're just writing
That's
down
your-
who runs each slip. Whose boat goes into what.
3
slip.
double slips today, looks like.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go back and look at that again, but that's okay if that's what it is. And this must be a ramp going up to, this is the ramp that's going up to it.
And that's the other part we want to discuss.
Just said 4.
All right.
Looks like there's 3 there. But
So once this is done, there'll be 10 boats out there. According to the possibility of 10, but you said one's vacant, so it'd be 9 currently.
And these aren't, I mean, this isn't,
And this is
necessarily
for
ours.
different individuals that are gonna have these slips,
Yeah.
cause currently multiple barrack owners have double slips, right? Some
Just
have
one.
2.
one that I know about.
Yeah, it's just the,
And you can, and the problem is, with the way we have to put them in, we can't just build 3.
No,
We have to build 4. And the cost of that 4th dock, somebody's gonna have to pick it up. So, I mean, yeah, one of the other barracks owners might have a double, or have that one plus the one they already own, but there's no way to get around that part of it.
Other than spreading it out, I guess, but that's between
Redesign the
you
whole
guys
thing,
to,
Driving pipe,
yeah,
trying to design it different, but
yeah.
I have 2 issues here. Number 1, we have the dock moratorium in place. Number 2, we're not supposed to be developing that North Shore. Keep it the way that it is. I'm opposed to the slips that we have there already. I think you were the one who made that motion of the moratorium, weren't you? And there's no way you're gonna fit, as he's pointed out, you're not gonna fit it farther inside that cove. Unless you go across on the other side of the cove, and I don't think anybody wants that congestion, boats will be backing into boats. And I know fishing people don't want it there. If you go farther out on the south side of that dock, then you're gonna be farther out into the water, out into the lake, where jet skiers and skiers are gonna be zipping right past there, and we're not gonna put them.
well, that's what I was saying.
Buoy.
What we wanted to do is put it's not it'd be like a trapezoid piece. So
I
it
understand.
helps it
But you
stay
hug
along
the shoreline, I understood
Yeah,
that.
it's not, it doesn't, so if you continued it on like it is, it would definitely be sticking way out in the lake.
If we go with this, barracks will be sold, new people will say, how come I don't get a boat slip? And then we're gonna be right here again. Can't we just make 3 more? Well, it has to be 4.
Well, I mean,
It's how it's gonna go. I mean, we know that.
Then you
that's
say,
how
no,
everything goes, right?
like, yeah.
Well, the
They
first one
change
will
it
already
when it
be
comes
built
back up.
for the first person that says, yeah, I'll take it, then.
Is there another location out there that would work for the barracks and not put it on this other side where the current slips are?
just build a whole new floating dock system. Other than.
I mean, I'm just looking at an option, not saying that's what we do, just is, you know,
Well,
I
where
was
was the,
just trying to keep it all in one
Sure.
place.
there used to be 2 city docks out there. The new one was Bill built, and then the old one's gone now.
This slip
But,
over to this.
I think that was back in the 80s.
But. Cause when you.
So the public dock was taken out and the private dock was put in, is that what you're saying?
No,
There was 2 docks originally, before they.
Right here in this location?
No.
where the one
You
is
know where the
now.
city dock is now?
Yeah.
There used to be 2 there. Oh, when we built that, the one that's there now, we tore the old pipe and all the old fallen in boards out. They were right next to each other.
The first dock, we lost it because of ice.
Ice.
And so they built it and it did better.
I think it's small in the overall scheme of things. I mean, they don't get the full 20 by 24 that everybody else on the lake does. It's, it's not, might be doubling the size at best, but, it's relatively small. It kind of takes up that little, I don't know, I haven't pulled up here on an image, but I don't think it's going to stick out to I don't know, hinder any jet skis or anything. They shouldn't be going that fast by the shoreline anyway, but I think it's a good idea to hug that like you're saying and not just stick out far to the south and be out there floating. So
Yeah.
I think you're kind of doing the best you can do there, but
Now, there is an association out there, right? And are they gonna be responsible for building this structure?
Yeah.
And then I think the city bills the association and they in turn
Yes.
charge you guys extra for it, right? So as a
Can we
city,
pass this with a moratorium?
sure,
I mean, yeah, then you're basically able to do that if you grant this exception to it. I mean, there's nothing saying that you can't do it this way.
And your code says, I don't know if that supersedes, but it says something about like a person with a land, I sent that to you guys, with a land lease to the city.
It is very specific of
It is.
who it pertains to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was specially created for the
yeah,
That
They're-
they're
they're their
allowed
own-
to
case.
put in permits.
which makes sense because they're not individual
Yeah.
landowners with individual lots.
They're not subject to, I don't want to say being entitled to, but having the ability to put in for a 24 by 20 permit. So that's,
Mhm.
And getting back to the association, is it the association's responsibility to assign those slips to the people out there? If they don't come in here and ask for it.
No, they claim them as their own. They're not leaving that up to us. They want control of that.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
they're assigned.
So if the association currently allows an individual to have 2 slips, they could also take it back from them and say you can only have 1 because we have other people out here that need it. That's what I'm getting at, without them having to come to us and say, hey, look, they got 2, we want 2.
I don't know how that would get into it, cause you're paying almost 10 grand for a slip to build it. So would that person then have to turn around and sell it to the other person? Cause they're investing the money.
You say the association's building that, right? The association,
The association cares for it. But if someone wants a slip there, it's that individual's responsibility. It's their portion of what they have to pay. So each person that wants a slip is gonna have to pay for the floating dock system, and then hopefully we'll install it as a group, so there's no fees on top of that to have it, hire someone to come out and build it. But the hardware and the slips.
I would think that would all be between you guys and the association then, not the city, when it came to that sort of thing. Anybody got anything want to add? Questions? Comments?
Say we don't do any more development on that door. I mean, obviously the barrack, when this was first built, they didn't want to see any structures out there. Otherwise they wouldn't have hidden it from themselves. You can't see it from up there. Why didn't they put it right down below the barracks between them and the water?
Because that's where we required them to at the time, Dan.
Corruption.
We didn't want it out there. The city didn't want it out there. That council did, but that's where they wanted them to put it all those years ago.
To try to hide it back in the cove?
Not hide it, just put it out of the way. They had a dock out there for the public. They actually had 2 docks. Then the one got destroyed by ice, and so then they built a better one out there at the end, And so they when they developed those ones that they're talking about, they put it over there. So yeah, so it was not out in the lake.
So they've outgrown the cove.
I don't really know if they have. I mean, they're growing.
We can't
That's-
fit it in the cove.
Yeah.
My worry isn't these 4, but it's the next 4 that then goes around because they're not gonna ever be able to go to the north. So they're always gonna have to go to the south, and then it's just gonna be shoreline gone.
I say no.
like I said.
Just imagine 16 slips, because eventually there will be. I mean, let's be realistic. Every single person when there'll be. There's
10
2
of them
now,
right
so
there.
there'd be 8 more, and if you look at the aerial map, that would push it all the way around then. That's future worries I'm worrying about. I'm not really, like I said, really concerned about these 4. I don't really like the placement of it. But the future, and I don't know, that's just a lot of development on a point coat. that really is supposed to be all for our taxpaying citizens to traipse through and around,
I
since
don't
they're
mind
kind of
them if they're
cut
not a
off on the south
taxpayer.
side of the lake by other people's docks there.
Mhm. I'm a taxpayer, I don't mind it, South Bend. I pay a lot of taxes in the
Do you
city.
traipse around the shoreline though?
Do you traipse around that?
I do.
I used to, but I don't anymore because I fall on my face. I would love to.
I'll pick you up sometime if I
Oh,
see
bless
you.
your heart.
I think like in this case, it's out of the way. Still, there's still quite a bit of open shore. It's not gonna clog it up.
I don't think it's a case of there's still quite a bit of open shore. I mean, if we have that attitude, we're gonna keep saying, well, there's room for a dock right
We
here.
still have a
There's room for a
moratorium,
dock
so I don't know
right
why
There's
there.
room for a
that
dock
would
in a
happen.
lot of places.
Moratorium is obviously
Moratorium's
pointless.
stupid, but-
He just stated that.
The moratorium was put on, it was voted down once and then voted for again.
We say yes and no to sometimes.
It's our first. My law.
Sir, you're gonna say something and we kept talking. Do you remember what it was?
No.
Do you remember what he was gonna say?
Were you gonna, for that second?
Oh, yeah, we can talk about the other part that we wanted to discuss was the current ramp that we have going down there.
Mhm.
It's starting to look a little unsafe.
It feels unsafe when you're on it.
Uh-huh. And so, not sure who built it or designed it, but there's definitely a better way. And with floating docks, you need something that sits on the dock, that raises and lowers with the water that the dock that's floating. And to do that, you have to have a ramp with wheels. So when it raises, it pushes out. When it lowers, it pulls back. That's what we're looking at. It would be pretty much a board for board exchange, but maybe a few minor tweaks to it. And I don't know all the details of that, but I wanted to make sure everybody knew about it.
One of them was an aluminum plank, rather than, those will weather better over time. And then if we had to do board for board.
So if you could produce the plans and bring them in to the council, and let us take a look at them.
It's still a permit application, but we don't charge for board repair, correct?
Right.
That permit.
Okay.
So.
And I'm all in favor of fixing up a dock and making
Yeah,
sure
we
it's
all,
safe.
we all wanna see that stuff.
I'm down with that.
I don't want anybody falling in,
That is still a permit
tripping and drowned,
request.
whatever.
That'd be embarrassing to drown in a foot of water.
How much of an
Kids,
I know.
kids exist.
extension would the additional slips be to the dock that's out there? Footage.
I'd have to measure. Is it on the drawing?
Drawing doesn't even account for the part where you're gonna have to put that angle in there.
Yeah.
So that'll make it even wider as well.
Mhm.
That would, so it'd be,
Can you get
half
us,
again as long as what it is, I guess, probably.
can you get a fairly accurate measurement for us? I think there's still some confusion on what really people really want to have done. Maybe fine tune that a little bit, they might make a better decision.
Say 25 yards, 75 feet, and then about current. It'll be off a few inches, but it's about what it is. So add another 2 holes, increase it by about 60-70%. So what would that be? Let's just say 1.7. Yeah, I can't do it. There you go. 125 feet, 127, I guess is what I have, but
And per dock or per boat owner, it's still way less than what the rest of them are out there. I mean, they're looking at per person or per boat, quite a bit less.
don't see a problem. I think it's tucked away as it is, but I just don't see a big issue with overloading that cove or that area. It's not even on that kind of south facing shoreline. It's kind of on the, I guess it's attached to.
It's on the corner of the south facing shoreline.
It's just
It
not a whole
would
forest.
start to wrap around to the south, but it wouldn't even make the wrap.
I think we probably ought to just put in a permit request with all the diagrams and footage, things of this nature, and bring it in.
Same with the.
And that one,
And
you
be
should,
a
I mean, if
separate,
it's
separate.
I need that back.
considered a board for board, you don't have to pay it.
Did you want this?
You can get a
Oh,
gist
Or do you want
map,
us to make a copy?
get one of those GIS maps of that area and then draw on it also, so people can have an idea of exactly how much it's gonna wrap around that side there. That would probably help your argument. Not with me, I'll be honest.
I've got Google Earth. I can try to.
And then that discussion's over, what that means.
Rand's okay.
If we can read it and there's measurements, it can look as ugly as you want.
Okay, guys.
All right, thank you, Mike. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate your time. Okay, dock transfer ordinance.
I had that put on there. And maybe I should have. Oh, it is under continuing. We just never decided on that. We've talked about it twice, and the first time was back in March. So everybody has that ordinance. So if you read it, the ordinance, the transfer docs of permits and other rights, if you go down 1, 2, 3, I would like to add a fourth line that says something like this, which reads, in order to enter a new lease agreement with the city, the new purchasers of the property are required, A, attend the meeting and or come into City Hall and sign a rules and regulations agreement with the city. I don't do shorthand.
I'm writing it down, it's okay. I'm gonna have to write it anyway, so.
I don't think that's possible for everybody.
Yeah, I don't either.
We have people who buy from hours away and they're not coming. A couple
States.
So
times
I
a
want to
year.
ask you,
States
would
away.
you ever get into a lease with
I would
somebody for property
absolutely
without
do it
meeting
by
them?
email.
Would you personally lease your land or lease land from
People do that
somebody
all the
without
time.
meeting them?
My next door neighbor leases their house to people they don't know year after year after year.
Well, they're coming to the lake. They can, if they can't make the meeting. That's what I thought everybody's stickler was the last time, is you didn't want to force them to come to the meeting. So I added the second part to where they can just stop into City Hall, get whatever from Stephanie and sign for it, and then they can never come back to us again and say, I didn't know or we were unaware, because they just signed.
Okay, but the
Saying they
same
are.
happens. I mean, do we sign a lease with them now? I don't think.
No, we don't.
So I'm not against sending paperwork via mail and email, however you guys want to do it, and they initial each section and sign it
In return,
and return it.
that's a
And
thought.
then it's on them 100% to read that and follow our rules. And if they don't, who cares if they said I didn't know? You may not know all the state statutes in Kansas,
Everybody
but you're
comes
still
in
going to be
and
arrested
says
for
they
them.
don't
Yeah,
know,
it's just-
and
it
it costs us time and money and situations.
And I get it, but that's kind of what our job description is, isn't it? There's a ton of stuff that comes and wastes our time every meeting. But I'm not trying to be facetious or
Sure.
anything.
To further your point, even if they were to come in, they're not gonna be on camera. So we basically just have a voice if they
Yeah.
even speak.
True.
I'm okay with them initialing
I do.
each point or whatever.
Yeah, I do like the
signing it
idea
them
of,
on.
and I get it. I had to sit down with people to fill out daycare paperwork, and that's your
You just don't
child.
want anybody to put in any effort or anything. You want it all easy for them, and that's fine.
To complete the step though.
And I think in order for them to actually get it, doing it makes them get it versus an email and a thing. No, I don't think that works.
Well, to have, I'm sorry, let me make a point real quick, if you would. To have a VRBO at the lake, you have to have your annual permit, the cup, is that right, Richard?
Every
2 years.
Every 2 years. When they sign for that, they sign agreeing that they will tell their tenants that they have to pay for a kayak rental. So, as an example. So what's this, Buffalo Spirit, they have agreed that they will tell their tenants that they have to permit their kayaks.
Not if Buffalo Spirit owns the kayaks and they don't permit them.
Buffalo Spirit knows the kayaks have to be permitted.
Well,
They have
saying-
signed a piece of paper
Okay.
agreement,
Where
not with the
is
city,
that?
not with the
No.
city, with the
It's-
county.
Well,
Right.
but what, I mean.
My
but
point,
is it-
my point is,
no,
they signed a
hold
piece
on,
of
hold
paper
on.
agreeing.
No, I don't know what they signed.
Well,
I mean, you're telling me they signed a piece of paper. I'm a lawyer here. Give me the piece of paper.
they signed it with the county, not with the city.
Well, then I don't
My
care.
point is, they signed a piece of paper saying agreeing to follow the rules. They're
No, I
still
haven't-
not following the rules. So if they come in here in person, sign a piece of paper saying they agree to follow the rules, it's still on them whether they're going to follow them or not. Whether they come in, whether they initial it at home, either way, we still have a piece of paper signed saying that they're at least aware.
I would be shocked if there's a conditional use permit requirement that says that they've signed, say they will follow the lake rules, including kayak use.
can we intervene in such a process?
I mean, it's gotta be very specific. It's not, you will follow the rules of the locality. I mean, I want.
Yeah. Well, that's,
I don't see why we could ask if they would,
yeah,
The
can we
county
ask
would
if
put
that
that-
is
put it on
stipulated in the city or the county documents, but
but we can't.
Just for VRBO,
Yeah.
That wouldn't encompass everything.
The conditional use permits that the short-term rentals sign in Todd say that they will ensure that all watercraft will be properly permitted and that the renters will be instructed as to the rules of the lake, such as the counterclockwise
Okay.
traffic flow.
Well, if that's, I don't know, is that I mean,
How much longer do we?
what's the, isn't it? I mean, what do you do if they don't do that?
That's
For one thing, if there's enough protests, those CUPs have to be renewed every 2 years.
Yeah.
So you could protest the renewal of that CUP.
Well, is that something you guys want to be on, like a checklist? Say, we're gonna watch out, and whoever gets 2 black marks on that, we go to the county and on the CUP day and.
I'd rather cut to the chase and penalize the owner, the management or whatever it is of the CUP, make them pay whatever penalty plus the fees
Yeah.
for the watercraft. Skip all that other business and get right to the point. Put a sticker on your kayak. Because I can go out there right now and take pictures of half a dozen or more kayaks sitting on the docks untagged.
But that's a separate topic from this topic. What do we think about this?
I honestly think it doesn't make sense that we don't have them sign anything to begin with. I can see both sides of it. I can see where Brett's coming from as far as making it a point to come in here or at least come in and talk to Stephanie and do the same and sign. The reason why is because when you take over a house and you're doing all of the 10 miles long of paperwork, you're initialing and you're signing everything and it's about like those terms and conditions whenever you sign up for something on the internet, agree and continue because I want to use email or, whatever and yeah, they don't make those things for the common person to read. But, I don't know. So I see it on that regard. I don't know, but yet I see that just, having the signature there saying I have signed and read that is the, the legalese you need to, maybe enforce things a little bit more. Said that you knew this, you signed it, but
I mean,
know.
that's kind of the issue is what the idea that we don't have anything in writing. I think that's purposeful because in some respects, lack of writing means that nobody can really hold us to much of anything either.
I was gonna say,
Well,
what
but-
happens if someone,
Vice
if
versa.
something
Yeah, yeah.
happens and like someone doesn't sign, ordinance, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, so, yeah. and
I'm
that's
worried about
kind of
us
the
holding
assumption.
them, I guess.
Yeah,
but-
the idea being is we have ordinances that govern conduct out there and rules.
Yeah.
And we don't have to go tell you where those are at and what they change. You gotta be here at the meetings or have something set up where you know that or get that information. Maybe the compromise position would be is that you would create something that would be what I would consider to be a new document that would be a little bit more than the rules and regs that you pamphlet.
Mhm.
And it would have some stuff in there that, I'm talking about writing the document of all documents that just basically says what we've been saying at these meetings for years, like, you have no rights you're granted no rights in this other than what we give you. You can take them away at any time.
Like a need
It's
to
our
know.
property. Yeah, and then it goes down that list, and
I don't-
and basically you understand that the ordinances of the city are here, and you're responsible for them. You're responsible for keeping track of amendments. Here they are attached. You read them. So you go down some things that are just basically them unilaterally saying yes, 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 and then sign, and that's it.
But right now we don't have anybody sign and they're still liable to these rules.
Yeah.
So if we fail to get a signature and then try to take them to court, does that weaken our position?
Not really, no, because
Then
we're
what's
not
the
we're
point
not
of
taking
signature?
we're not taking them to court in any case. That's the difference. You guys are trying. I think what I understand the idea here is that you're trying to stop feeling like you have an equitable duty to take into account the fact that somebody was ignorant of the rules. They come in here and they say to you guys, I didn't know that was the case. And you don't want to be, you want to be able to say, here's a piece of paper, stop right there. And I don't have to, I as a council member don't have to feel bad for being a hard line on these rules because you signed them.
Correct.
As opposed to nobody signed anything. It's
And
just
then everybody feels sorry for them because, oh, you didn't know, and that's such a shame. And oh, well, maybe. No, I hate that.
That's
Well,
why I pointed out what I did about the cut, the conditional use permit. They are aware.
and you got it, but the satisfaction of that is you still feel self-conscious even though they have the cut because that's not your document, as opposed to having a document here that's in every file that says yes. And you just got another little, this is not anything I'm counting on to do anything other than keep you guys happy and efficient at dealing with this stuff, so you don't have to hear the ignorance excuse.
So in a way to kind of paraphrase and I guess fill in the blanks, so as far as not knowing, I guess if they sign something, the rules that they signed ever become so antiquated that they've signed it and now it's actually a detriment that they've signed this.
It's a contract.
That a contract and acknowledgement of the old rules. Meanwhile, we changed the rules, and now they have a different argument that, well, you changed the rules on me, and I agreed to these set of rules.
That's
I
what it's
didn't know if
also
it would
gonna
weaken your position.
It's also going to say
That's-
that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
That's a good concern, I guess. But when they sign the cup, it says they agreed to follow the city's regulations
Yeah,
and the directions, like Richard's pointed out.
yeah.
Yeah,
Counterclockwise. So it doesn't say the rule is you will go counterclockwise. It says you will follow the city's rules, which are.
And that's kind of some of the things that you've had in the past is just people who come in and don't know, that look at houses there and don't know the rules offhand. And so they just guess and then they get tripped up. And the more people know at the front end, better off everybody is. You guys and them both.
So
This is from one of the VRBOs. I don't know which one, but it even tells the clients Please feel free to use the fully equipped kitchen, Keurig, beverage, fridge, blah, 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 provided kayaks, paddleboard, and water mat. So they're obviously offering the equipment that they know is not tagged.
Well, and to further Tim's point, they know they're breaking the rules of the lake. Well, if the rules of the conditional use permit say you will follow the rules of the lake, you're breaking the conditional use permit. So I mean, I see where that could be where the city could intervene and say, yeah, this person knowingly has watercraft in the lake. They don't ever tag it. We're not in favor of that. Please deny.
Yeah. Yeah, then the county will approve or deny as they see fit.
Yeah, but I'd like to think we have some way as a city within their county, but
I just like having all the power right
yeah.
So do these BRBs have their own docks out there as well?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they pay a much higher fee for their dock.
Right. So when they pay that annual fee, why wouldn't we tack on the conditional use permits for kayaks at the same time? Why don't they pay at the same time?
We don't know how many they have because they haven't been registering them before. Some of them are very new.
Because the typical process would be to go to the bait shop, get it inspected,
Right.
get your sticker.
Isn't the first step to have Robin go out and tell them, like, you guys didn't tag this, you've had people on it, you need to pay this or you get a penalty. Have they even been talked to about it, I guess is my question.
I don't think so.
I know they've signed this saying that they should follow the rules, but maybe this is just
Yeah,
slip
we're-
their mind.
I wonder
like,
if them
if you're-
saying that, is that essentially the first step
now. You need a conditional use permit.
that says you'll follow the rules? They signed up, follow the rules, and found them in
Like I
violation.
said, it's all, there's, the remedy is the question, meaning, okay, so you established they haven't kept the permit. You either have the power to have the county revoke the conditional use permit or not renew it. There is no civil penalty, there is no criminal penalty. So essentially, the long and short of it is they're imperiling that conditional use permit. So,
Can't you send a gotcha letter?
What?
It's been noted.
that's
that-
a letter from the city saying
yeah.
these aren't permitted. We're going to address this in a
Could
conditional
affect
use
the
permit,
conditional use.
or we can just say, this is the city, you gotta register boats, here's the rule, register your
Can you
boats.
find them?
Just like everybody else. When we do that with anybody else.
I don't know
I
that we
mean,
have
I know when I get pulled over for a ticket, when I'm speeding, I
Yeah.
don't get a free pass,
You have
so
warning?
And you
but you
don't,
don't,
I've gotten
also you
warning.
don't just get the $25
I'm
speed.
not as pretty as you.
well, that's just, I don't think there is a setup for, well, I'd have to look at the ordinance again to see if there's a penalty for not permitting the vote. Because that would, but I would not, unless there's something written down in the code that says, if you are caught without a permit on the, you get fined somewhere between $50 and $100. If it's not there,
We need to put that on.
okay, well, that's, I just, like I said,
It's
if,
got a
if,
sting or they'll
Yes.
just drop in the
Okay.
bucket.
well, then I'm adding stuff, that we could do.
I do want that
And
somewhere.
I might have to look again at that because I haven't looked at it in a while.
But to me, that goes the same with people that come out and they fish all summer long after the bait shop closes at night and nobody's there and they have no fishing license.
They better have a state license.
City permit.
Nobody's out there past 9 o'clock anyway, so who's gonna check them? I mean, they know the schedule.
Maybe they're really hungry.
And the fish.
So my issue with this is like, we don't have the document even written yet, so I don't know.
No, I was just
No, I get it.
Yeah.
So
March,
like,
so I
should we
wrote
start with
something
that
up
and
I
then,
would like something
then
that
look at what we
states,
wanna do?
if we catch you out there in violation, you're not
Okay.
just gonna be told.
No,
this
we can't
is
finish
my-
one
this-
topic, we have to have.
Yeah, that's basically, the better option here is for me to start something and get it to you guys to start putting flesh on these bones and then add on to it.
Sounds good to me.
All right,
What's next?
Also in that ordinance, real quick, it says, as long as about transferring and stuff, it talks about the, surveys. And here I underlined, as long as the owner can clearly show the location of buildings and improvements on the surveyed land. So this is already in our ordinance.
Where you at on that?
Yeah.
And
Where you at on that? Front page or second page?
No, it's the first page. It's the last two lines of, one.
P1?
But anyway, we have not been requiring that because the surveys that we've been getting from people, excluding the one from Martinic, which did show this, they have not been accurately following this because we have not accurately been able to find any of the locations of buildings and improvements surveyed on the land. Also, the owner shall provide current photographs of all docks and other structures to be transferred with the property of sale, clearly showing the condition of all dock or structure. I have not been seeing pictures of docks and structures when we're transferring,
Not lately.
Okay.
and that's also in this ordinance.
So reinforce those.
Yeah, when I reread this, I've been telling people, like anyone that I tell them the whole thing.
I also want something to, I would say probably half the docks have numbers on them. They're all supposed to have numbers on them.
That's what Robin would be doing.
Numbers. Yeah, we've asked nicely already.
It's in
Well,
their,
Orvin one.
it's in their
Have we shook
yearly
our
letter
finger?
that they get.
Yeah.
And I will
Agree
say,
with
I think we have.
when I was going out and measuring docks,
It's done.
people have put them on there and the weather has already weathered them off or something else. So just that, I know from going out there when we initially did this, that most of the people complied by what we wanted
Nail them on.
by putting, but the weather things they've used have now, I mean, they do need a reminder to replace. Most of them were put on there. Like yeah.
It's in their doc fee letter every year.
They need to use the little wooden ones.
That's all I have with that ordinance.
Okay. Moving on.
Richard, would you be so kind as to remind people in your newsletter to make sure the numbers are legible on front and back of the docks, please? We should start with a friendly reminder before we get to
Guillotine.
guillotine.
Yeah, Todd always trying to yell at people.
Capital
That's his
punishment
job.
into the,
He's supposed to be mean.
Go back to
all in
Yeah,
old
that's right.
friends.
That's true.
Hard to go.
All right, next.
So
But
we're
you're
gonna,
not supposed
we're
to
gonna
have
leave it
a
with
show.
Todd to write something up now, right?
Yep, I got it.
Okay, and so we're ready to move on. Before we get it.
I put I put that on there because the last time we looked at this bid, we had approved the retaining wall between the boat ramp and the concrete dock, and we did not approve the swim beach retaining wall. Simply because we didn't know when water was gonna be low enough, if the bid was gonna be different or fluctuate. I mean, that was our reasoning behind that, and I think it was a good reasoning behind it. But as we've been waiting, the thought has popped into my head, there's a schedule that we're gonna be put on after we approve a bid, because they're not gonna put us on a schedule till we approve a bid. So the time frame of that, the water's low enough now, so let's approve this bid, then we gotta be put on their time frame, and by the time that time frame comes, it's full of water again. So I guess what I'm asking is, should we go ahead and approve this bid here? So that we can get on a schedule and then,
Get bumped down if the water level's not right.
if it changes, change
right,
the motion.
I mean, I don't know how I'm
appropriate more
wording
money
this,
or
but
whatever.
you get what I'm throwing.
Yeah,
I move to approve so we can get on the list.
Yeah.
With the understanding that our steps are going to be like this. It's not going to be the concrete steps that we had before. Now, I mentioned that to Joe when I called him, but I want to make sure that that is,
Round,
yes, rounded steps so they can be entered from any direction, because the other ones, a lot of kids were
so it
falling
looks
off
like
the side of
Lisa's
it.
steps in front of her house.
Yes, good example.
Are you gonna be able to put a
Straight
railing
towards
or
the water
anything
would
up
be
there for someone to hold on to? I can't go up and down the steps without a railing.
I had considered that if anything, we could put a railing right down the very center of it.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Or there's a natural railing right along the side. Of course, it's not tall once you get to the top, but we can do something about it.
Like
So these
patio
round
steps that
steps.
are rounded.
disabled
Instead,
people.
you know, some-
Might be a good idea to get some posts planted before we pour the concrete,
This
so
way.
we're- rather than bolt it to the concrete.
Yeah,
Good call.
because that will eventually wreck them.
So the boat ramp area retaining wall is what we already passed, which was the $17,610.
Mm-hmm.
So
And it's not been low enough to do it, or they've been doing other jobs?
schedule, like you put, like it's out, the project's out a ways.
Do we have an idea when?
No, I'm gonna call after we talk about this, I'm gonna call him tomorrow.
Is this bid still good? Cause if I mean, all mine have been like 30 days or less, or then bid
Right.
changes.
I understand that,
I'm
but
asking.
I still wanna approve this and then call him and be like, if there's any increases, give that back to us. We just wanna be able to be on your schedule so that we're not
Okay.
missing an opportunity.
We're not gonna exceed our budget authority this time, right?
No, your budget, you
No,
still
we don't have
have.
to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you can amend the budget also.
Okay.
Anyways,
Well,
There's a motion on the floor.
oh, I suck it.
but you got 60,000.
Okay.
Left in here. Authority.
Terry, there's a motion and a second.
Okay, so we have a okay. Who wants to repeat it? We have a motion to approve the, is it Kobe or Coldy?
Goldie.
Coldy, the Coldy bid for the swim beach retaining wall. And a second
With curved steps.
with curved steps. We'll write that on there.
He's watching.
And Henry.
Well, he's not, Coley didn't include the hand.
No, and those can be added later.
And he's actually not the one that I deal with either. I deal with JD, so.
Right. I think I mentioned it to JD also.
So we have a motion on the floor to approve the Coldy bid for the swim beach retaining wall with curved steps and a second. Any further discussion?
No.
Those in favor? I think it passes 5-0.
I'd also like to make sure, Brett, that we are able to acquire the materials that they take out. There's boards on that between the big dock and the ramp, boat ramp. Those boards would go nicely around that great big dock that are there. They're not brand new wood, but they'll last a few more years. And there's also that grate that's right there. I'm sure we can repurpose that grate. I don't want to see it folded up and thrown into a dumpster.
All right,
You
let's
know
move
what I'm
on.
talking about with the grate?
All right, next thing on the agenda is a bait shop and thing.
I had that put on there.
Of course you did.
This is all.
Jeez, Brett, this is the whole agenda.
Hey, he put it on though.
Yeah.
We
I
should.
did.
It's me.
I just,
Brett's council.
Yeah, there you go.
So what do you want done with it?
I wanted to talk about maybe getting the inside of the bait shop painted at the end of the season. Getting a bid for that. Who I had in mind was Brock Graham, who's local, who does painting.
So are we changing the contract from the bait operator being the one that's supposed to paint it?
In the spring, they're supposed to paint it, right? You know what the
That's what it
contract
says
said?
in the contract,
Is
even
that
though we got somebody
exterior?
else to paint it this time.
Is that exterior or interior?
I would have thought it was exterior.
When was the last time the inside was painted?
Probably when Dave had it.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm sure he repainted it. In fact, I know he repainted it. Had to get rid
Oh,
of the
when he
smell.
busted
He
out
did
there.
repaint the floors. I know that.
Yeah.
But if so, if you would like to entertain that, I'd like to get a bid from him and bring it back to see what we're working with in the off season.
You know me, I'd like to have bids before we entertain any idea to purchase anything. You know that.
Mhm.
I'd prefer more than one.
I don't see any harm in getting a bid, and then we can decide whether we want the new bait shop person to do it or pay someone else.
Or maybe we split it and we pay for the materials and they do the labor during those early months.
Who's
Probably.
talking about the
Just
bait
probably,
shop?
yeah.
You're talking about the bait shop operator doing the
Yes,
labor?
yes.
Okay.
Oh, doing the labor or paying for it?
Are we getting a new bait shop
Or
operator?
That's what I'm saying. Is
Because if
Are we
you're,
painting the operator?
if you're
It's
gonna
a
be
yearly
required,
contract.
I know it is, but from talking to her, I know that we will be getting a new bait house contractor if she's going to be having to do any painting.
It's in the contract.
We might
Which
have
we'll
to
talk
do-
about that contract
Yeah.
at a different time.
All
okay.
right. So we move on.
Flying along.
I'm still talking about this.
You're right, waiting on bids. on it.
Yeah, we tabled it to this meeting and it has the new ones in it.
Okay. The permits at Lake Buncie is next up for city council members. This
Okay,
is,
I'll make this real quick if you let me, Terry.
yeah,
I
go ahead.
added 2 items here. Under voting, I added number 1. Under camping, I added number 6. I didn't add them.
What you at?
Stephanie added them.
What's he talking about?
I don't know.
Yeah, we talked about that last time.
Very
Last
last
page,
page.
you added what and where?
I added number 1 under voting and number 6 under camping.
Everything else stays the same. This is his proposal. We talked about it 2 weeks ago.
Is this something that's gonna be seen by the public?
It's on the thing already, isn't it?
On the,
Not on the, it wasn't on this.
I guess it was on my.
What, it's not on
And
one.
just
We'll
so
get
that
a-
everybody
get
knows
a
how long this has been
packet.
going on, that we get these privileges, how long has that been going on, that we get this stuff in?
Mm-mm-mm.
Do you know how long I've been on the council?
No, Tim,
oh my
you made a
gosh.
mistake about that. It was never allowed for the council people. The only thing the council people and the firemen got was free fishing. With, you might have got it with Pomona and those guys. They might have told you that, but it was never, ever an official thing until
May of 22, May
it
of
was
20, May of 20,
2021 or something like that.
May of 20. One of the council meetings in May of 20.
Only
is
had
when it was
COVID.
approved.
And there was you guys were sitting here, and everybody else was on the phone. And that's when we talked about the permit. So it would have been in 2020.
Again, when I was to be convinced to accept this seat, before I was ever even on the council, I was told that these are privileges that council people get. And that was part of the selling point for me being on here. And I've been
That was
off and on taking advantage of it.
But
the whole
Ken,
time.
that wasn't something that was,
We're putting it in black and white, Dolly,
well, I
to
understand that.
establish it.
But whoever told you that all those years ago was mistaken. But yeah, I remember when we had that meeting, because Annie was sitting there, Brett was sitting there, and everybody else was,
Well,
and Stephanie was here.
It's been brought up several times over the last many, many years, and this, as Terry pointed out, it needs to be white so that it's not misunderstood.
Oh, it's not misunderstood.
Are we not including the non-elected on the fishing thing?
You talking about
This is
one?
just
That's already-
specifically for the elected
It's already in
personnel.
somewhere?
Yeah,
This
that's
is
a different
specifically-
clause.
Sorry, I missed the last meeting.
This doesn't have any effect.
That's what I said back in 2020. It's like if anybody deserves that, it's them,
Yeah.
not us. But that's,
I'm not taking it away from them. I'm not addressing that. That is
But it's already
Yeah.
covered somewhere
That's
else.
actually in a resolution
Okay.
that I
Yes.
sent you guys.
I
think,
just
for a
want-
while.
That covered.
Were you aware that, when we get these privileges, you have to, they're taxed? They have to be on your taxes?
Would you like to address that for her? You explained that to the council back in 2020. is
My
it?
attorney told me that. Cause that's, you know,
I
I'm not,
remember what it
She's
is.
not wrong. If you buy something without sales tax, you're supposed to put it onto your,
Well, but it's, yeah, it's compensating use tax.
compensating use tax, yeah.
But we're not talking about sales tax, so you're
it's
talking
more of a
about income.
fringe benefit, which would have been.
An income tax.
But you're not an employee. You're not an employee of the city.
So would it be like driving a
W2.
city vehicle
They
as a
are
per,
on
get it,
payroll.
They get a W
fall
two.
under the same?
You withhold, you withhold.
That's not considered an income, is it?
It is,
It's a
everything.
weird
I'm
way to
guessing
do
that
it.
you guys,
Everything is income.
Is
or whoever decided to be on payroll probably didn't want to attend.
I can tell you guys
You know what I
this.
mean?
Yeah,
Rather than contracted.
because it would be a pain. in the
I can
butt.
tell you all this. Roughly 2 years ago, when COVID was rampant and telephone meetings, I called in one night and I said, addressing Tim and his fishing, Tim, just remember, if you get free camping out there, it's a tax. You have to report it on your taxes. And your response, word for word, was, how would they even know I was camping? You remember that? You remember that?
Wow.
How would they even know? Well, they know because the bait shop operator keeps a record of who camps and who don't. So that's how we would know you got free camping. And that's how we would know to address it on your W-2 at the end of the year. However, somebody's wife in here got on the phone and says, no, that's not true. The first $600 is tax exempt. So you guys went ahead and passed it. I specifically remember that.
That's
And-
such a funny number. I don't know where people got that from.
and
It's
that-
so made up.
Yeah.
That very same night, I got online and I printed off what the IRS rule was regards to that, and I showed it to a council member. It is tax reportable. The IRS will take anything that's worth as little as 25 cents. They want it reported. So where the $600 came from, I have no idea. I haven't read anything anywhere about $600 being taxed, the first $600 being taxed.
The city's under no obligation to paper form them the $600. They're not under no obligation to file a 1099 MISC to do that. But, you know, with that said, you know, as we should always do, we should, you know, always be true to Uncle Sam and pay
Yes, we
exactly
should.
every benefit we have. You know, we should enumerate that on our taxes and do that because we're all fine standing citizens.
That's right. Especially since they're hiring 80,000 auditors this next year. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're trying to
Like
catch,
you would
you're trying to
think.
catch the cryptocurrency people with those guys.
I know.
Oh, it's
That's a
gonna
lot
be
of
wonderful, Justin.
It won't be.
Good job.
Just like the Patriot Act had nothing to do with patriotism and Affordable Care.
All
right.
The list will go on
Don't get me
and on.
started.
So,
It's
so
opposite day.
I think it's
Opposite
up to the person receiving the benefit if they want to report it or not.
Yeah.
And if they decide not to report it and the IRS says, hey, I think you're getting it, and they audit you, then it's up to you. It's
Yeah.
on your monkey.
And oh man,
That's-
go back how many years?
It really is.
Ouch.
That is between, you know, whoever takes advantage of that and their tax professional
That's right.
and the government.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if it, you know, goes up to $600, we should paper form them, but I
I
don't
know
know.
this is going to sound very ludicrous, but we used to get $2.79 turkeys every Thanksgiving and every Christmas where I worked. And one time somebody had kept track of all their W-2s and everything. I mean, not their W-2s, but their pay stubs and the whole 9 yards. When the W-2 came down, it was about $6 higher than what they had recorded. And they actually took the time to figure out where that came from, and that's what it was.
Mhm.
And dang turkeys that they got at Christmas and Thanksgiving.
It wasn't a free turkey
and
after all.
questioned
The
it.
bad thing is
questioned
that
it.
is 100% believable in government.
Well,
Yes.
but if it's believable at that
At
point
that
with
level,
government, why wouldn't it be believable at this level?
Yeah.
But the point is, then they did away with one of the turkeys and gave it to us between the holidays, and then they came back and said too much paperwork to mess with it. You're on your own now.
I don't know. I mean,
So-
I've won different things at work. Like I won
Man, free stuff costs a lot of money.
There are some things that
Alexa.
there are some things that the internet said
Sold it.
weren't taxable. You know, if I brought a cake in here to celebrate somebody's birthday and we all ate it at city council meeting, you guys aren't taxed for that. That sort of thing, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, just refer to the IRS guidelines and then you'll have a really good idea.
In that novel, you'll look like
Sorry.
Rip Van Winkle.
Then I'll apply for one of those new 80,000
Y'all know
jobs.
more gray than I.
You better, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, because you'll have the experience of knowing how to catch people, won't
That's
you?
right.
Okay,
IRS is about five.
so let's get back on this. Let's get back on this
Yes.
addition to what Tim has written up about the council permits. I like the way it's written myself. It's a lot more clear. Makes it a lot easier for the bait shop operator when somebody comes out there. We take the argument out of it and the hurt feelings.
I think that you just put in this passes, you put this in as a policy.
Okay.
Fully as if.
Is there we haven't made any motion, so what do you want? You want to discuss it first? I think we need to make a motion before we discuss it. Technically, but
You can discuss
Probably
it
just be a
before
motion to
motions.
adopt the policy.
I so move to adopt the policy.
have a motion to adopt the policy as written. Well,
Really?
Well, he's not gonna second.
That's not complicated.
okay, motion fails for lack of a second.
Do we need a second?
No,
Mm-mm.
you need a second.
I'll second.
What do we do, Todd? I just killed it.
Well, you can just
Okay, I re-enter the motion.
and then please, or do you re-second?
Second again.
The mayor counted the motion as dying for lack of a second.
Well,
You sprinted out of here. It
Oh,
died.
sorry, I was either that or shoot.
So now you can
And I
second.
appreciate you.
That's fair.
So now you can second.
I'll second it.
Okay, now we're back on.
I knew we were friends
Okay,
for.
so now we have a motion, we have a motion to accept the policy as written and a second. Any further discussion on this? Those in favor?
Or be not.
Those opposed? Okay, passes 3-2.
Sorry, guys.
Thank you, Annie.
Apparently, I should have been at that last meeting. I thought that's what it already was.
I know we covered on the last meeting, did we?
No,
We just made a discussion,
to
table
table
it
it
to
to
this one.
this meeting. Jeez.
Okay, now we're ready for mayor and council concerns. I have one thing I want to publicly announce.
It's not a late meeting, so kick it down the can.
No more.
I have two things.
No more.
All right, hang on.
Go on.
All right. The follow-up meeting with KSU, TAB, KDHE, EPA, and FHRC will be held September 8th at the Senior Citizen Center here in Eskridge at 5:30. That is a Thursday, September 8th.
Can you give me like a smaller acronym?
Yeah, really.
Give me the one.
Grant.
The one. The
Grant,
Main Street Grant.
Main Street Grant.
Main Street.
Sounds like a
That sounds cooler.
Sounds like a little bit.
That's how we name those bills, guys.
Main Street. Well,
Main Street Grant. Now, this is not, if I, correct me if I'm wrong, what's that? Okay. All right.
Oh, come on.
It's September,
Keep together.
that's
No.
September
It is
8th.
the EPA Brownfield study.
one of the same.
Okay.
You missed it. in
That
the
September
title.
8th meeting is an informational
Second.
meeting. It's not a special meeting for the council.
Okay.
We'll make that announcement right now. I can't see any reason why it would be. You? Anybody?
And all you're doing is walking around with them, right?
No, they're actually having a meeting with the public.
You said the
And
senior center?
yes, that's why we're going down there.
Does it really matter that, I don't know, I guess, the difference between a work session and a meeting is
We can make
Wi-Fi.
an action.
Actionable.
But yeah, exactly. But if you just have a one agenda item and your only motions are to
It's for information.
close the meeting and open the meeting, I don't know.
Isn't it just information?
Well, I mean, if you guys are, I mean, the danger is if there's enough people present and you are gonna talk, if for whatever reason you guys talk about city business, somebody's gonna, it's possible, so.
I don't like that. That's kind of where I'm
Well, it's
at
not,
too.
well, I mean,
Well, should we call it a special meeting?
yeah, I would like for you to call it a special meeting, just so you know.
Okay.
Let's change that then, Dolly, to say a special meeting
I got it.
at
All right.
5:30.
I just stretched it out.
Make an agenda for it, Tim.
Okay.
And if the
Yep.
only thing on it's gonna be these people. If something else comes up, then we're covered.
Put on a postcard and say his face.
Okay, we will advertise on the Eskridge webpage. We'll advertise it on Eskridge Watch if you would, please, and we'll get flyers out. And then
Don't you
we'll,
also, don't you put it in the newspaper too?
we haven't, we didn't before.
I thought that, don't we make
You
an
can post
official
I
newspaper?
wouldn't have a
You
problem with that for this.
You
one. I mean,
posted it to,
No,
And then
I'm
you
for
get-
that. I just want to get our business, that's all.
Well, it'd be a community event anyway, so it wouldn't cost us anything.
Correct.
You're right.
Oh, okay.
You're right.
I didn't know
So
that
we can
existed.
notify them.
Okay.
It's a nice little paper. It's good.
Since there is time.
Yeah.
It is.
Yes.
Since there is time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Color
Yeah.
more
It
often?
has been more color.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, this is only
It's
a dollar
adds
bigger
it.
council concerns for the
It's
next
bigger
meeting.
than
in
the
2
big
weeks.
chapel,
About this thing.
almost.
It is much bigger than the paper I deliver.
Thank you very much. Does anybody else have any comments, council?
I have
Oh,
one-
wait, we do
One
have
yes
to-
or no question. Are we offering refunds for, like Julie said, the person came in wanting a refund on their boat because it doesn't run? Do we do that?
No.
I've never heard of that.
Why would they
The
register a
only
boat that wasn't working
thing-
anyway?
The only thing
Must
that
have
I
just
have
bought it
ever
first.
heard is they get it on the water. And I think there has been people that have refunded in the past. like clearly on the water,
It died.
just paid for it, it died. And then they immediately take it off. But maybe they're not, I don't know.
Yeah, but
If
this.
somebody
died
died or
that
never
other
lived
things.
I think of the way we need to figure it out and address it. Now we can move on.
Let's put that on your bait shop
You are on my list.
For next,
contract for
next
the next.
agenda.
And
Okay.
it's not
Next, because we're gonna do the contract
I
this
know.
Can't
fall.
come up with rules for the fall, not
The
put it in the
S
contract,
list.
but rules.
We could do both.
I really don't have a problem with
No.
it if it's right then and there. The
Right.
very first time of the season, you just pay for it. But I mean, if you've got an hour's worth of
the
enjoyment out of the
sticky
lake,
list.
Or a month later,
oh yeah, that's
I
That's
want to
No.
upgrade and get
we're
rid
not
of
gonna
this.
prorate. We're not. No. We're not canceling our
Brett.
satellite service and trying to get that.
At the meeting that we had last week when we talked about the concrete, I told you that I would have his updated bid for us.
Yes.
This is it. As you can tell, there was one thing that was cut so that it didn't get increased from price increases, and that would be from the back side of the park. The concrete that was going to go to the memorial is being cut. He gave me a separate bid in case we wanted to add additional to this bid, and he can do that project still in this time frame for an extra $2,000 if we so choose to want him to do so.
I'm okay with waiting to do that till next year until we figure out the bridge situation. If you're okay with that.
Bridge situation.
We're changing the bridges from flat to arched, so our sidewalk really needs to run into the bridge, and that bridge is not in the same place it will be in the future.
This is just from the
Oh, I'm
back
sorry.
to
Just
the
kidding.
memorial,
I'm making
not
that.
to the
For
bridge.
some reason, I was thinking we were
We
going
cut
all the way
bridge
down.
a long time ago.
Okay.
So if we wanted to get from the back to the
No,
memorial,
city
we can
park.
do that. It would just be
Okay.
We
$2
still,
grand more.
So,
we have the
sorry.
$2,000 to do it.
Yeah,
We
Then
do.
I say we do it.
I do too. Why would we have the memorial if people don't have access to get to?
I agree. I want it.
No,
I would
yeah.
rather have it there than the rest of the other.
and like I said, I just told him with price increases and everything, don't raise it all up. Like try to stay within what we did, and he did do that, and then gave me the extra of what it would be.
But then are we still doing the 300 block or not? 'Cause
I move to approve the bid plus the 2,000 for the extra sidewalk that got left off.
Let me do that first. Hold on.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to accept the bid for the sidewalk to the memorial with an additional cost of $2,000 and a second it. Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Hallelujah.
Okay, the last
I'll have to write it
thing
down.
that I have with, this is all with, still with the sidewalk, and it's what Annie just said. At the last meeting we had, as a council, we thought 36 inches would be far enough from the curb. So, I told you that I was gonna talk with DeVader, and in Paula's driveway, it has up and it's concrete, and it's like 72 inches from the curb. And to avoid having to curb it, Josh said that it would be a straight shot if we went at the end of that, which is 72 inches from the curb, straight down instead of the 36. I said, I'll bring it up tonight and you'll have a definite decision tomorrow.
All right, so they're gonna run, or they're not running at 72 inches from the curb all the way down, are they?
Yes,
would be straight.
because right now at 36, you're having to curve it, and when you get up to that, then you're curving it even more to get around. But if you went at the end of her concrete that she has already right there, which is 72 inches, then it would be a straight shot completely, and they wouldn't have to. It'd be less work for him, and the slope is more level, he said.
And it would look more symmetrical.
Where does that put the sidewalk?
Where does that?
It puts it in front of the trees that are there.
In front,
so-
as in closer to the street.
Right. And I went
So
back
straight
and
side.
listened to the meeting, and that was her concern, was she in front of the trees at least.
Yes, she did say that.
72 inches, that's where it's gonna start, and it's gonna extend from that point, or that's
Yeah,
where
how
it's gonna end?
close to the
Yeah.
house does it end up being?
No, not very close at all. It was 36 inches, so you're just adding basically about 3 more feet, and that was like 30, 40 feet or whatever.
Because
It was-
originally we started out talking about 2 feet. Then it got moved up to 3 feet.
30 to
And it-
36 inches is what we said.
Yeah.
Well, the 2 feet we would not be
That's
able
what
to do
you
because
said.
there's a power
That's what we
pole
agreed
there.
on.
there's a power pole there, so 2 feet is completely off, and all the stop signs and everything else. That's why we,
Understandable.
That pole is right there by this.
Right.
That's the one I'm thinking of. It's just
it
a light.
is right there.
It's
It
right there on the
even
curb, but-
at 36 inches, it's tight.
Really?
Like I said, he will curb it up if that's what we want him to do. But if he went off her driveway, the end of that, and shot it straight down, it's 72 inches.
And without a curve, it still goes on the
Right.
outside of the tree.
Right.
And
Okay,
how wide's the sidewalk?
4 feet is
It's
standard.
4 feet.
You guys G-jawed it on south end there. Why can't you G-jaw it up there at her place? That's what I call it, G-jaw, what you did on the south
That's
end.
kind of where I'm at too, but
72.
I guess so it's right here and that's where we're coming off from.
Yeah,
and we're either
that's-
curving
that's,
or we're,
6 foot.
we're going.
It's like 10 foot.
If you're going
I wanna
here,
see
you're gonna have
this.
to go all the way up here, and then when you start getting
Before I
to
make
her
any
property,
decisions.
then you're gonna have to curve it up this way to get past this concrete that's right here.
Okay.
So, because it's the driveway
And you
in.
drop a little bit.
Watch the.
You're gonna do what?
Yes.
Here's that.
It's a sidewalk.
Okay.
So right here is the concrete, and like just up from the trash can is where the concrete is. So it would start going this way,
Small
so
line of us.
flip
And
it
is
this
it gonna
way.
put it next to the trees though? And
It's
those trees are
in
gonna be
front
back-
of
I don't
all
know
of
what
it.
the
Still quite a
measurements
ways,
are. I'm just
Dolly.
looking at a picture.
Yeah, it's,
What?
It's still
So
quite a
you're
ways.
right there.
You're starting
I
at.
don't know.
Yeah, but
6
then it
feet from the
goes
curb.
4 feet
Yeah.
I
from
can't
that.
see. I couldn't tell you
10 feet.
measurements on
The
the
end
side.
of the concrete would be 10 feet from the curb.
Mhm.
somewhere around. I don't know.
Can you,
I mean,
can you can't zoom in on that spot to show the concrete pad and gravel, can you? So that would be 6 feet roughly from here to about right
Last
there.
time you guys didn't go look at things, maybe you should go look at things.
That's what I said last time.
I went out and measured it. I measured it, the 36 inch is what I did because we had agreed on
Because right
30 to
here
36.
is
I wanted to see what
36
that was gonna be.
inches, so then it'll be straight all the way, and then it'll curve up and over around like that. If you start there, then it's just gonna be
It would
a
curve,
straight
it would curve
all
up,
the way
it
down.
would curve up to there and then straight across. It wasn't curving
Okay.
back down.
well, unless
You wanna
unless
start
you-
it at
Unless
the
you
end.
saw the curb, I guess,
It
Make
would be
that
curving
flat.
back down to the 36 inches.
That's not what he told me when he and I talked about it.
Well, that's what
He told me that it would, you would run
I
straight up
talked to
here.
him tonight,
and then
like,
curved
an
up
hour
there.
ago.
It would curve up to there and then straight
Because-
across.
why would you do 36 inches only in front of all these properties, but you get over to this property and you make it more than 36 inches? It's not a big deal there, but see what I mean?
Well,
Okay, so it starts
I like to have it symmetrical.
at the end of the,
Right there is where it would start, because that's where
Okay,
the end of that.
and then the
concrete
4
is.
feet go that way.
Yes.
So it's still.
They sent it in the mail.
It's,
Like
Go
a
that
free
way a
pin.
little
It's
bit.
like an advertisement. pin.
I wanted
Yeah.
the trees for,
It's like an
For reference.
for reference,
Do you have one?
because me and Paula have trees. So it will be
How about one that's
a
blue?
couple feet in front of
Yeah.
this tree,
I
Okay,
don't know if it still works.
right
I don't
here.
think it's good.
that's,
I'll be happy with what I have.
It'll be closer to the
I'd
house,
still just
right?
assume curve,
Yeah.
kind of where we talked about. Or why couldn't they saw that and then just taper that down? Oh, that would be,
It's, all of this
Probably
is
more
cost,
money.
and I'm only bringing it up because of cost too.
yeah,
The curve, the extraness of doing it.
yeah, because the
It
curve's
would
gonna
be
cost
simpler
something.
for him to
Mhm.
just, yes,
It's
just,
like a bad deal.
and
Never order them. I just send a free pin to get a free can.
But I don't-
he thought it would be, and I told you I would go back to him, and he thought a straight shot would be better too,
Do you
but he
find
will
that
do
works on
whatever
your
we
phone?
want.
I haven't tried.
Just curious.
So I would just want to make that clear.
Brett, have you said anything to the meat shop?
About 30 feet off the curb.
Look at that.
I don't know about the meats, but I thought that when I had talked to Mike the last time that he was gonna talk to Paula about it. I did not cross-reference with him to see if she did. But the only thing I did was go back to the meeting to rewatch it to see what was said. And that was what Paula said is she just wanted the sidewalk in front of that tree.
That's because she was desperate at the time. She didn't think anybody was listening to her. You really need to eyeball this, people. and talk to Paula.
I'll go with
She's the
you.
one that lives there. And if the guy's gonna do whatever you all wanna, what everybody wants done, the right thing is what we want done. She has to live there.
Just for reference, her house is, or the porch is about 30 feet off the curb. So once you went 6 feet of green space and then 4 feet of sidewalk, you'd be about 20 feet of green space left.
20 feet.
20 feet. So that's,
I mean, sidewalks are close. My sidewalk's like not that far from my front either, but it's just old and sinking into the ground.
my house-
So nobody uses it.
The
Yeah,
side
I
of
know
my
what
house
yours
to the
look
curb is about 20
Yeah.
feet.
I mean,
It's
so I
all
get it, but
things
we are
you
keeping it
see,
outside the
but-
tree.
That's a pretty.
what
big
is it
front
on the
yard.
other side of the road?
We do want sidewalks, not road walks.
Right, right.
I mean, it would be nice to just
Oh.
mention it to her to make sure
Yeah,
it's all
she
good.
needs to be informed
But I think
first.
we're okay with that change, right? Is everybody okay with that?
I am.
Did you guys move at the last meeting to install it at 36 inch?
Yes, they
Yeah,
did.
32 to 30.
30 to 36.
30 to 36.
So a new motion.
Yeah, you'd have to move, and it's basically, what are you doing? Contingent on the.
Well,
approval
we,
of
at the
landowners?
meeting, we said 36 inches, but I said that I wanted to talk to him and get what his feel was.
I don't know what the motion
I-
said.
The motion
motion
said
said
30 to
30 to
36. It was specific.
So. You can make it, you can make this motion conditional on approval of landowners or whatever, but do it. I don't know. You have to do a motion, I would think. Or else the last instruction this body made was for 36 inches.
We better hurry up and get that.
If the
in
landowners
so you can call
fine
those
with
people
it,
before 10
I mean,
o'clock.
that's why we've
Make a
been.
motion.
How am I making, like,
That-
Yeah,
Contingent.
no, okay. The motion is to change,
I mean, I don't wanna make a motion that's final if we cross-reference.
He has a, an out in his.
Okay,
I do.
I mean, I don't wanna have,
Yeah, contingent upon
Contingent,
approval of the
first word he
notice.
said.
No, the motion is to modify the previous, was it a depth? Do you call it depth?
Location of the.
Location of the sidewalk to 72 inches,
mhm.
contingent upon the approval of the
Property
Meeks
owners.
and the Soldens to that change. And if that's not accepted by them, it will revert to the 30 to 36 inches. So if somebody likes to make that motion,
I so move.
I second it.
Okay, a motion to move the sidewalk from the 30 to 36 location to the 72 inch location and seconded.
Make sure
With
she
the-
understands that 72 inches in
Further discussion.
4 foot for a sidewalk.
Yes.
Yeah, so it'd be a total of, it'd be a total of 10 feet from the curb at the end of it.
So if
Sorry.
they don't look, I'm sorry, are we done?
I'll just say, is there any further discussion on it?
Yes, there
Okay.
is. If they don't like it, then we're gonna have a sidewalk that's all jankety, is that?
Yeah,
No, it's a south end.
Not all
Yeah.
jackety.
You'd hope it was smooth.
It'd be straight all the way up
he's
to
gonna
the
do the best
driveway.
he can do.
It'd be straight to the driveway and then circle around the
He's
driveway.
never done a residential sidewalk in such a fashion before. Usually they're straight to the point.
Yeah.
Kind of like the one
I think
on the
it should be
south end of the
straight.
park is straight.
Except you get down to the trees and then it's curved.
Seriously, though.
That curve in the south of
I'm
the park
just-
was my idea. Everybody loves it too.
It's should have been a cut down tree, but we'll take it.
The kids are gonna love it, but you know.
Extra money and you get to work.
Would he be able to saw that right
I'm okay
there and just, do that and then blend the sidewalk down?
Do you see it being point?
I think if it was done right,
Going
it
down,
would.
you'll be okay. Coming up the other side, I think is where people constantly catch.
It was
their
the
foot.
extra work
Well,
of cutting that out and then
Yeah,
fanning it in to where it all looked like.
The cost more.
okay. Yeah, because that is down slope, so then that.
One way,
Sidewalks on the-
cost
I just want
less,
the whole thing
it's
out
less
there.
work for him
Yes,
and it's in a better position land-wise the other way. And I get it, like, I mean, who would want that sidewalk going 2 feet from there? From
Not
that,
sure.
Yeah.
But at the,
But at that time, we didn't know that we had the authority to do all of this and move it in the first place.
at the 7-foot distance, we are still moving it much farther from where it
Oh yeah,
It
20
should
feet.
It's about 20 feet where it was.
So it's probably an 18-foot difference.
I'm on the side of just putting it at the 7-foot.
6 foot,
No. If
612
this,
to 72.
sorry, 6 foot.
No landowner approvals.
Correct. That's where I am on it.
And that's what the motion was, and that's what the
No.
second
The
was.
motion has
Motion
the
is
contingency.
contingent on me consulting.
Okay, so who else you want approval from besides those landowners?
People sitting on this table.
He's saying no approval from landowners.
You're saying do it without their approval?
Well, we've already moved it clear away from their house, right?
Well, I think they need to be notified.
I think a courtesy.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't have to do the motion that way, but I think a courtesy conversation is nice to have.
Well, I don't want to drag this out 2 more weeks. You need an answer tonight, right?
Right, because he's,
And,
So
and she said that she wants it away from the trees, and we're accommodating that, correct? I want to make sure I am correct
we
on
are,
that.
yes.
Why didn't you
Could
tell
you-
her so she could be here?
Well, it sounds like we're meeting her.
In hindsight, that would have been a
requirements
great
or
idea, but it
requests.
was the hour before.
Well, she thought it was a done deal.
Yeah, that's all.
So did the Beats.
you
So
know,
would
and
I.
I would,
That's
I
what
would present
bothers
them
me.
with both options. Just say, hey, do you want to go through at 72 inches, or do you want to swag both? And you know, we'd say we as a city will support you either way, or support. You know, we've approved either decision. You guys pick how you want this to be, because that
And I think
that
that's fair.
swag would actually be more square foot of concrete. They may not like that because you gotta.
We have bigger problems in this town than whether or not the sidewalk.
I know.
Lots of other sidewalks.
Oh,
We have a
okay.
motion and a
Done.
second.
And I motion it with their approval, like I don't wanna do it with not.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
That is your motion and that's your
That's the
second.
motion.
that's basically what I just said. So,
Okay.
any further discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed?
I motion-
Whoa, wait. I watched the last 2 meetings, and in one of the meetings, someone said they lie all the time. You guys need to remember the camera's on all the time and they hear what you're saying. And when I heard that, I was shocked.
Were we talking about lawyers?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
The lawyers lie
It
on
was
the
clear as a bell.
Politicians. They're called politicians.
Yeah, well, no.
Tell us
Oh,
So
something.
the motion, you need a second.
I'll second Annie's motion.
Oh, well, I have you making.
Is there any
Oh,
questions?
I'll
about that?
second.
yeah.
Geez,
Okay.
Stephanie, you throw me into the.
Well,
Okay, meeting's adjourned.
We didn't vote.
was
I
that?
thought- I saw a bunch of hands going
I'm
up.
just gonna respond to it.
Hey, get yourself.
Regulations on disturbing.
Waiting for emotions, I go.
I appreciate
Never
it.
shows us.
Okay, I'll have,
Go to the bathroom.
Well, I'm glad to be able
I'll
to-
get you
I
that.
think you can make it. My profession.
What is your email?
I don't have.
What